Photos of Mandy show a beautiful girl with curly blonde hair and an infectious smile. Everyone in the small town of Acme seemed to know and love her. She wanted to do everything. She had her older sister, in addition to being a top student at Mount Baker High School. Mandy was a cheerleader and a basketball player. She aspired to one day be an airline pilot. Even how she spent the last day of her life shows how exceptional Mandy was. The average person doesn't go out for a jog after indulging in a Thanksgiving dinner. Mandy's mother, Mary, clearly thought her youngest daughter was special. She admitted, "I am just an ordinary person. I don't know how I managed to have that child." So that was basically about Mandy. Now I'm going to go into sort of what happened on the day, but it's going to be like a mix match sort of. Yeah, I'm going to talk about the case, and I'm going to go back and forth from what actually happened on the day and add bits and things, because the way I write it out, I sort of write it out as I see it when researching on different sites. In the fall of 1989, Mandy was a freshman at Central Washington University. That November, she returned to her hometown of Acme, Washington, to spend Thanksgiving with her family. On Friday, Mandy went for a jog with her dog after the big Thanksgiving meal. Only decision that they would have on their community. Backstrom and Anderson were among a group of mums chatting about their families, their lives, and their hometown of Acme, a tight-knit rural area, a half tantalizing hope of a local woman named Kim Wagner, who provided police with a crucial piece of evidence that finally cracked this seemingly unsolvable case. "I wanted to do the right thing for Mandy," Wagner said. Her actions and the assiduous pursuit of the case District Attorney Dave McEachran presented the DNA evidence and used the testimonies given by Tim's brother and wife to state that he had not only wanted to make people lie but also did not have a credible alibi for the day Stavik went missing. In any case, the long-drawn case trial came to a close when the specially selected jury found Tim Bass guilty of first-degree murder. Additionally, they also found him guilty of first-degree SA, attempted first-degree SA, first-degree kidnapping, and attempted first-degree kidnapping. He was then sentenced to 27 years in prison. At the time of sentencing, Tim Bass maintained his innocence. And where is this Tim Bass now, you may say? Well, Tim Bass is currently serving his sentence in Calmingasmr Corrections